Good evening and good morning. Let us begin the book study on the sunlit path. And as we begin, invoking Mother and Sri Aurobindo's grace and presence as we start, aspiring for receptivity, expansion, more and more grace in our lives. So, we are currently on the section titled Ordeals and Difficulties, and we had read 3 passages, I think, last time, 2 passages. And we have to begin with this passage here with the mother. So I read. Mother says, be absolutely convinced that everything that happens in order to give us precisely the lesson we needed. And if we are sincere in the sadhana, the lesson should be accepted with joy and gratitude. For one who aspires to the divine life, what can the action of a blind and ignorant humanity matter to him? If a child is doing something that would harm him, if the parent even has to use physical force, like if the child is say running on the street and if the parent has to physically grab him, or maybe I don't know, at times just constrain him, that might feel like he's being rude or mean or unkind. And yet that kindness is there so that the child can be safe, the child can sustain, the child can do the right thing, can learn. And yet mostly I see, this is a good happening, this is a bad happening, this is a good circumstance, that is a bad circumstance. I keep judging, I keep weighing. As we had used that analogy sometimes of a giant wheel, when we are going up, we are very happy that, hey, life is up, all is well. But as soon as the giant wheel stops, or when the giant wheel starts going down, it's then that we start crying that, what's happening? Why is life so difficult? Why does it have to happen to me? Why are the gods so unkind? So here, when Mother is saying, be absolutely convinced that everything that happens in order to give us precisely the lesson we needed. So if we look at the words, right, there is no if and but about it. Absolutely convinced. Like there is no room for error here. There is no maybe. There can be no exception. So be absolutely convinced that everything that happens, again, see, no room for maybes or this could be an exception that yes, everything happened for good, but this particular happening did not happen for good. So that won't happen. I can fully sit with it and, rub it in. Let this enter me. So be absolutely convinced that everything that happens in order to give us precisely, again looking at the word precisely, the lesson we needed. And if we are sincere in the sadhana, the lesson should be accepted with joy and gratitude. So if, right now we believe in, say, the karma theory, we believe that for all the good, I get the good, for all the bad I did, I get the bad. And yet we are told that nothing happens that you don't need in your life. If something has happened which appears to be unkind or ugly or tragic, sometimes we hear stories of people in which it's just like things have happened just one after the other, the blows, like one thing after the other, and one wonders that what is wrong? Why would anybody do this to somebody? And yet, when you look at them, they are such warriors, they are such strong personalities, often helping so many people. So, just we have read this is nothing new. We have heard it from several masters and mystics. And yet, do I even fully acknowledge what this means? Because this means that any misery, any tragedy, any discomfort, any lesson, any challenge, anything that I feel this is wrong, ये गलत हो रहा है, is there to make me better. Paripakvata for the person, for the being. More grounding, more strength, more faith is being developed in me through the happenings. And how it amazes me that how everything, if we look at this, that means that each and every person, each and every soul, each and every being is looked at so carefully. How much is the love of the divine, and we know it's limitless. How much is the capability, the capacity of the divine, and again we know it's limitless, is there, that each and every one of us is looked at and is guided and is held to exactly where they want to be. So if I am on the path, I would by now know this, and I would accept the lessons with joy and gratitude. For one who aspires to the divine life, what can the actions of a blind and ignorant humanity matter to him? I think this is where a lot of us get stuck at a lot of times. We want just a little bit understanding. Or maybe, don't understand, but at least, just don't say no or don't say this is wrong. I'm reminded of that video that was shared with us, that Monica had shared from the Delhi ashram, in which, Chacha ji, who had made the Delhi ashram, it's his talk with the mother. And he said something on the lines of that, I don't want, say, people to really maybe help me, but maybe what it would it not be nice if they are not standing on the opposite side, or they don't misunderstand, something of those sorts. Like, don't approve, but at least don't disapprove. And mother said it's never going to happen. If you know you're doing what's right, you do it. You will never, she said, you will never get the approval of people. So although it might seem that, why is mother calling everybody blind and ignorant? Our ego can take a hit on this. But blind and ignorant, as in, what are they? What is the aim of their life? They will judge everything from that window, right? I cannot have an absolutely different goal, absolutely different aim in life, and then say that, oh, why is anybody not supporting me? Or why is everybody saying this is wrong? It's almost like a fish would say that, the bird is wrong because it flies in the air, and the bird is saying the fish is wrong because it lives in water. It sounds absurd when we say it that way. And yet, when I'm on the path, when I know the deeper significance of things, even if I might not fully know, if I'm aware of them, then I'll have to make my own decisions. I cannot wait for approvals and nods and smiles. And we see this all around us, that we don't want to do a certain thing, but the partner wants us to do the certain thing. So we don't want them to feel, oh, I'm not doing my duty, I'm not doing my responsibility, I'm not. So yeah, I think I've overstressed. Yeah. Any reflection or question on this small passage by the mother? That Rumi's quote that, how will you be polished, my dear, when you cry out at every rub, is coming to me. Yeah. So this is the conversation I was talking about. So this is in conversation between Surendranath Johar and the mother. So let's see.
You see, in the present condition of the world, circumstances are always difficult. The whole world is in a condition of strife, conflict. Forces of truth and light wanting to manifest, and the opposition of all that doesn't want to change, which represents in the past what is fixed, hardened, and refuses to go. Naturally, each individual feels his own difficulties, is faced by the same obstacle. There is only one way. It is a total, complete, and conditioned surrender. What I mean by that is the giving up not only of one's action, work, ambitions, but also of all one's feelings, in the sense that all what you do, all what you are, is exclusively for the divine. So you feel above the human surrounding reaction. Not only above them, but protected from them by the wall of the divine grace. Once you have no more desires, no more attachments, once you have given up all necessity of receiving a reward from the human beings, whoever they are, knowing that the only reward that is worth getting is that one that comes from the Supreme. And that never fails. Once you give up the attachment to all the exterior beings and things, you at once feel in your heart this presence, this force, this grace that is always with you. And there is no other remedy. It's the only remedy for everybody without exception. All those who suffer, it's the same thing that has to be said. All suffering is the sign that the surrender is not total. Then, when you feel your pain like that, instead of saying, oh, this one is bad, or this circumstance is difficult, you say, my surrender is not perfect. And
Yeah, we'll stop here. This wasn't the one that was directly related to the passage we were reading, but I'm glad we saw this too. It was beautiful. And I especially resonate with the part where Mother says that when we stop seeking rewards from outside us, right, from other human beings, it's then when, the divine rewards us, or the only reward that we are seeking must be from the divine. It sounds obvious, and yet when we look at the things we do, the decisions we take, we do see that we do have expectations, still have expectations of approvals of, again, what we were discussing from outside. And once that stops, then, how Mother says that then there is that absolute realization of the constant presence of the divine in our beings. So I will look that up for the next time I'll share it. So right now we will move forward. So we have taken up this passage, and now there's just one single line that the Mother has said, and the line is, difficulties are always blessings if we know how to face them. If we look at it emotionally, this might not make sense. How can difficulties be blessings? If we look at the way we always look at things, that happiness is good, sadness is bad, smile is good, tears are bad, comfort is good, challenges are bad, then we would never get it. And yet, the one who has faced difficulties and the one who has come out on the other side and the one who has seen, who has helped him come out, and how much he has developed in the coming out would know this. There's this small quote, I don't know by whom, which says that, whenever I meet a strong person, I want to ask them, and what is that river that you have crossed? Or what is the challenge that you had to go through to become who you are and how you are? So, difficulties are always blessings if we know how to face them. And if I'm finding something unbearable or total confusion, then again pausing and realigning the compass sometimes help. Yeah. So at any time, if there's any reflection, any question, please feel free to unmute and share. So we will now move because it's very simple and they are mother's passages again. So we'll move ahead. So if anybody has the capacity, if they can unmute and read the next passage for us, we'll take it up for reflection.
With the touch of the divine grace, how do difficulties become opportunities for progress? Well, this is something quite obvious. You have made a big mistake. You are in great difficulty. Then, if you have faith, if you have trust in the divine grace, if you really rely on it, you will suddenly realize that it is a lesson, that your difficulty or mistake is nothing else but a lesson, and that it comes to teach you to find within yourself what needs to be changed. And with this help of the divine grace, you will discover in yourself what has to be changed, and you will change it. And so, from a difficulty, you will have made great progress, taken a considerable leap forward. This indeed happens all the time. Only you must be truly sincere. That is, rely on the grace and let it work on you. Not like this, one part of you asking to be helped and another resisting as much as it can because it doesn't want to change.
Thank you. So just reflecting on this, taking it up. So there is a question that with the touch of the divine grace, how do difficulties become opportunities for progress? So mother says it's obvious. You have made a big mistake. You are in great difficulty. Then if you have faith, if you have trust in the divine grace, if you really rely on it, you will suddenly realize that it is a lesson, that your difficulty or mistake is nothing else but a lesson, and that it comes to teach you to find within yourself what needs to be changed. And with this help of the divine grace, you will discover in yourself what has to be changed. So, if we look at the normal course of events that happens with us. So here mother is saying you have made a big mistake. You are in great difficulty, right? So when I have made a big mistake and I am in great difficulty, the normal course of event could be that I start blaming myself. I start blaming the other. I start blaming my kismat, my situation, my life. Why do I always do this? Why does it happen to me? So I usually, the default mode is blame and guilt and victimhood. I get into the story and I just start throwing. mud around. But the alternative way that we sometimes take, that we can always take, that we have made a big mistake, we are in a great difficulty. But I have the faith, if I trust the divine grace, if I rely on it, I would realize that this is a lesson. I would be able to see things factually. We all make mistakes, mistake upon mistake, mistake upon mistake. But when we have grace, we can clearly see, oh, I did this and this happened. Oh, I said this, or I wished for this, or I doubted this, or I questioned that why did the other do this? And see, now I'm in the same situation. Again, here the question that we have been told to ask ourselves, or this thing that has been again being hammered into us, that we are not here for comfort. The birth, the precious human birth, as it is said in Buddhism again and again, was not here just to, make a comfortable life, to earn something, a number that would be make me more and more comfortable. Because every time a challenge comes, I cry out that, but it hurts, but it takes away my comfort. So if my compass is straight and I know that my aim is progress, is growth, is to become better and better and better, stronger, humbler, more solidarity, more honesty, more sincerity. Every time I am slapped or every time a difficulty comes, I see where I faulted. I see where I made mistake. And if there is grace, I will correct it. I will learn a lesson. And sometimes it takes more than one lesson in one subject for me to actually make a practical change, but I can see the work in progress. So, with the help of the divine grace, again, with experience, we'll all agree that not because of us, but with the help of the divine grace, because without that, we don't say this just because it sounds beautiful or it's the right thing to say, but practically, with the help of divine grace, we discover that in us which needs to be changed. And you will change it. So from a difficulty, you will have made great progress, taken a considerable leap forward. This indeed happens all the time. But we usually are in such a mode that we don't even realize our progress because we are so busy complaining or saying, this hurts, that hurts, this is unfair, we and our whole facades. But that's okay because from a difficulty, we would have made great progress, a considerable leap forward. This happens, Mother says, all the time. Only you must be truly sincere, that is, rely on the grace and let it work in you. Not like this, one part of you asking to be helped and the another resisting as much as it can because it doesn't want to change, because change always brings discomfort. It brings, like, there's a part of me saying no while the other part is saying yes. So then the movement becomes very tough, right? When the being is not united. So it's like if we have to take two children across a line, and if one of them is willing and the other is resisting, or if both are resisting, me taking them to cross the line would be very challenging and much tougher and will take much longer. In contrast to, they are both willing and we can just walk slowly or run towards the line. Yeah. So if we recognize these resistances within us, we can offer them more and more. So pausing here, if there's any reflection, any concern on this passage, we can take it up before we move forward.
So if this happens that one part of you asking to be helped and another resisting as much as it can because it doesn't want to change. So this part which doesn't want to change, how is it possible to control it? I mean, it's naturally there.
I think there could be many ways, but let's see what all comes. So let's take any example. Let's take okay, an example of say somebody said something to you and you're upset, right? You don't want to really indulge with them or you're kind of sitting with that hurt inside. The
Hmm.
part of you wants to say that, oh, move on, this happened in the past. And another part of you is saying, but mujhe bola tha, right? How do I let go? है ना? But there is a part of me, there are two children and say there's a witness. So there is a higher thing which says that, what is this holding on bringing me? What has it brought me in the past? So we have to look at the facts of life, right? Because these things are usually emotional, right? Emotional hurt or like what it's like basically the ego is holding on to things. So one thing would be that when I see what good is that holding on, what good has it ever done to me? How has it served me or how is it serving me? When I feel, when I'm holding that hurt or those words, when I keep repeating to myself that this person said that or didn't do this or did this, how do I feel inside me? Do I feel small? Do I feel constricted? Or do I feel expanded? So, you said it's natural, right? And this is the thing that everything in us is natural, but we are above nature. So when yes, there are some things which serve us, and there's so many things which are not serving us. They keep us tied to the past. So when I realize, especially, that's why again and again the word sadhak is mentioned, and sadhak is somebody who wants to sadho himself, right? Like sadhana hai jisne khud ko, and sadhana is correction, right? Is improvement, is honing, is refinement. So if I am walking on the path, say for example, if you are climbing a ladder, you might say it's natural that I have to walk one step at a time, right? And yet, if at every step I wonder that, it's very hard and I'm not sure if I want to take my feet up from the first step to the second, from the second to the third. Because how can I let go of a step which has helped me climb up? That could be a part of ethics and moralities. So then how will I climb? So, using that judgment, that discernment could be one of the ways in which we would be able to progress further. So, a lot of times I hold on to things which don't serve me. And again, by grace, when I start seeing, it's not serving me, it hurts or it doesn't feel good, it feels constricted, then I would have to let go. And I think we'll have to see that the things that we say it's naturally there, it's mostly habitually there. Whatever I do becomes my habit and it feels natural. Because if we look at, the reality of things, they say naturally to be a Sat Chit Anand, but that's not how we live. There are so many distortion and dispersions happen that now this feels natural. The littleness, the holding ons, the ego resolves, the ego stubbornnesses feels natural to us. That is how far we have come.
Yeah.
Yeah, because every time, whenever the I becomes big, कि मुझे कैसे बोल दिया, मेरे साथ
Hmm.
हुआ है ना, वो वाला aspect I see is coming from the ego, and yeah, it limits me. Although it shows कि it's standing up for me, right? मैं नहीं बोलूंगा तो कौन बोलेगा, मुझे बोला, and yet it's limiting me. It's drawing circles around me. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So after this, again, a very small passage, just 2 sentences from the mother. Mother says the difficulties are for the strong and help to make them stronger. Persevere and you will conquer. Just a reminder from the mother that the difficulties are for the strong. It's not that you have done something weak. You are not weak. I'm saying wrong. It's not that this is a punishment. So the difficulties are for the strong and help to make them stronger. So I too can approach life with that. So persevere, just hang in there, just continue, just aim towards higher and you will conquer. Today's quote from the incarnate word, I think also is really beautiful. I'll just pull it up because that too, because a lot of times as we were discussing, we just feel cool, this is my karma and this I'm suffering because of my past things. I don't see things as growth opportunities. I see them as punishments, and by that I make things harder than they have to be. Yeah, it's so beautiful. So it says, Mother says, the grace does not punish, it heals. So it helps us in our progress, it helps us in our growth. Its intention is not to punish us. A parent can never truly punish a child, as in, cause him harm. And yet they disagree with you so many times. They course correct so many times that it might seem that why are you acting like my enemy? So the grace that does not punish, it heals. Okay, just one second. This word persevere also is really interesting. Let's see if we can read something just on perseverance that might be good also. Yeah. Would anybody like to read a little some of these statements from the mother about perseverance? I'll read. So mother says perseverance, the decision to go to the very end, Perseverance is patience in action. Perseverance breaks down all obstacles. Persevere, and all obstacles will be conquered. This is the surest way to success. What you have not been able to achieve in you last year, you will do this year. So, this might be a New Year's message from the mothers with my love and blessings. So, persevere in your aspiration and effort. Do not allow yourself to be discouraged by setbacks. This always happens in the beginning. But if you continue to fight without paying any attention to them, a day will come when the resistance give way and the difficulties vanish. My help is always with you, but you must learn to use it and rely on it rather than on your own resources. So, a very beautiful and I don't know what word to use reminder that persevere in your aspiration and it, but we give up too soon. We have been doing something for years, like you used the word natural, right? Like I've been doing that for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And I see that there's something else which is better. I tried once, I tried twice, maybe I tried thrice. And then I said, no, no, I can't do it. It's not up to me. I'm too old, or, I'm too strong now in my thoughts and in my actions. I can't change. करके देख लिया मैंने मुझसे तो होता ही नहीं है. These are the things that stop our growth. And it is said that, if you're still breathing, that means you can still progress, you can still change. Because if your purpose is served here, you would not stay here even a second longer. So persevere in your action, in your aspiration and effort. Do not allow yourself to be discouraged by setbacks. It's very difficult, and yet when one learns this, it's it's like, you have a spring that a little bit is pressed and you still spring forward, you keep springing forward. How beautiful is this trait? Do not allow yourself to be discouraged by setbacks. This always happens. Mother says in the beginning, but it keeps happening to us again and again. That if you continue to fight without paying any attention to them, all the setbacks, if I don't pay attention, if my goal is clear, if my path is clear, I don't pay attention to how much time it is taking or where all I am stuck, a day will come when the resistances give way and the difficulties vanish. Mother doesn't say might come, should come. She says will come. So I think, now paying attention to these small, small things which are not small. A day will come when the resistance give way and the difficulties vanish. Even with basic human relationships, sometimes we meet people who are so persistent, And a lot of times we just give up. We give in. We said, okay, itna karna hai to kar le yaar. So if we can do that with people, we can end up doing things we don't, maybe, I don't know, resonate with or have any interest in just because the person is persistent. So why don't we take that into account that I just have to hold my ground, I just have to be persistent, and the difficulties will vanish. It's so logical if I look at things. So many examples from my life are coming to me. So just sharing something that, in general, like I am mostly, I don't know, I don't like to, that's not true, but yeah, in lot of aspects, my elder sister, she's very adventurous and fun loving and outgoing and always wanting to do this or that or experience this. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I remember once, we were traveling to Srinagar and we had a whole day planned in the city of Pahalgaon and I had fever. And I said, I'm not going, you guys go, I'll be resting. And she just would not agree. And out of just maybe even irritation that day, I said, fine, if you want me to go in fever also, I'll come. And then, we had a whole day planned. And although initially it was a bit tough for me physically, but once I just decided that I have to go, whatever would be the reason, I had the most amazing day when I was able to transcend that limitation caused by fever. I mean, and this has happened several times because she persists, I was able to do so much more because, we always restrict ourselves. We always think that, yes, yes, no, no, I'm good, I'm good. And every time we push ourselves. And that has even, physically, if we talk about, like, if we have ever had any, at least I'm talking about my experience, any weakness, any injury. There was a time when, I had a lot of weakness in my legs. So it was like that if one day I took one step, the next day the one step was easy, the second was tough. The next time I took two steps, steps came really easily, the third was tough. So we see that, we have seen that, but if we were actually to believe it, it would come much easier. So to remember this is like, such a powerful tool that one can now have in their armor, that continue to fight. If you're tired, take a break, step back, rest, but continue to fight without paying any attention to the setbacks. A day will come when the resistances give way. They will have to. It's almost like देखें जरा किसमें कितना है दम. So when the resistances give way and the difficulties vanish. Because the difficulties are just there to make us stronger. They're not there, they are not very self-fulfilling. They are not gaining anything by being there. They have been put there by grace to make us stronger, to give up certain things that we stick with. The blows, they are so beautiful for the ego. And a lot of times you're hurting so badly, and yet that voice is telling us, this is so good for you, this is so good for you. So acknowledging and accepting that. So Mother says, my help is always with you, but you must learn to use it and to rely on it. To use it, to rely on it rather than your own resources. We are so sure of ourselves, of our own resources, of our own capacities, capabilities, strengths, money, brain, reasoning, that I don't just rely on grace, that, oh, I'm taken care of, oh, she will take care. We do usually do come to that, especially in challenging situations. And as we have used, that example of Amitabh Bachchan when he says that, मैंने ये कर लिया, ये कर लिया, ये कर लिया और अब मैं तेरे पास आया हूँ. तो द क्वेश्चन है, सबसे पहले आ जाता तो वो सब नहीं करना पड़ता और कितना टाइम बच जाता. Even in Draupadi, when that Chirharan thing, not thing that experienced, that incident, that story, it is said that, she doesn't call I don't know, there's a lot of things Draupadi says before she calls Krishna, or maybe she calls others. I don't know. There is something there that the moment she calls, he comes. So again and again, we are reminded that if the help is not coming, it is I who's not calling it with all my being. I don't rely on it. I don't fully trust it. या खुद पे बहुत भरोसा है जैसे we say ना. Even in this one, again it says victory goes to the most enduring. Always do your best and the Lord will take care of the results. She doesn't say always do the best. Again, looking, paying attention to these small, seemingly small things, but your best. Always do your best. That's what Mother keeps repeating. Your capacity, your capability, your best. See, we being clever, we then say, what is obstinacy? That stubbornness. How can one use it best? Mother says it is the wrong use of a great quality, perseverance. So, as Mother says, that nothing is wrong in the world, just things are not at the right places. So, the same stubbornness that I'm using for strengthening my ego, if I use the same stubbornness in not giving up, my life would go really far. So be obstinate in your effort towards progress, and your obstinacy will become useful. To be constantly in contact with the truth is not easy. Again, this sounds like quite opposite of what I would say I am, right? And yet, if I look at my truth, it is tough. So, to be constantly in contact with the truth is not easy and needs time and great sincerity. But you can be sure of my guidance and my force. So, whoever we believe in, if we can strengthen that faith, so that really helps us in crossing over. Yeah, that was a good read on perseverance. So, should we take up more? Make them stronger. Or we can take this up now next week, these three small passages, and then we'll go to section 3, part 3, difficulties of the character. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the section I was referring to. We'll just end with this.
Well, I keep that thanks send you.
One thing is, whatever I do there, that is also not liked by my own people.
Well,
And
your own people are all mixed up as everybody. There are some
and
good.
then, but my feeling is so strong, not only strong in that way, but it is as clear as daylight, as if I am just sitting in your presence, that I do not do anything myself. This is such a great, clear experience to me from all these years, that whatever is being done by me, it is being done by some force and not by me at all. And it gets it done. But then the...
Huh? You expect the world to understand that?
No, but they may not understand. I don't want any credit for that. But you see the obstacles and the
if you consider that I can understand and know, then you have my full support. I never told you that you were doing wrong, did I? No, once for all, you must understand that unless people are true yogi, out of the ego, completely surrendered to the Supreme, they can't understand. How could they see with all the exterior eyes and knowledge? They see exterior things and appearances. They don't see the inside. When we have stopped expecting appreciation from the outside, that is from the human being, we have no reason to complain. They appreciate, so much better for them. They don't appreciate, it doesn't matter. It's their own lookout. We do the things not to please them. We do the things because we feel that is to be done.
Yeah, so we do things not to please others. We must do things because we feel this must be done. So stopping here, ending the session with this last message from the mother. Thanking grace, thanking the divine for the grace and the guidance and the direction that is shown to us, to each of us, that we must follow. If the outside is muddled, if the others misunderstand or question the motives, but as long as I know the direction that I am heading towards, all is well. And as Mother said, don't expect to be rewarded by others. But once you are above that expectation, what you will receive is a reward in itself. And I'm just paraphrasing. We'll end the session here. Thank you.